and this is the Kbdfans67 Lite review. Now, I was excited for this keyboard, not only for myself, but what it can mean for a lot of you guys out there. At $110, there's a lot of value to be had here. Now, there's a lot of different injection molded keyboards coming out, this one being ABS. Now, the Kbdfans67 Lite intrigued me because it does a lot of the things that I feel like the other keyboards in this price range didn't do, and they got a lot of things wrong in those keyboards that this one does right. So today we're gonna get into all of those features and let you know why I think this is one of the best budget keyboard options on the market currently. Now let's start off with what's in the box. Now this is a DIY kit, and they're gonna give you 2 boxes. In the first box, which is the case, you'll find all the accessories, including KBDfans stabilizers, a hot swap PCB, bottom case foam, polycarbonate plate, and the mute silicone mount, which we'll talk about later. In the other box, they'll give you the 67 Lite ABS injection molded case, which comes in a bunch of different translucent colors, but the color I went with was the Tiffany blue color, which I absolutely love. Now this does come in a Bluetooth format. They have a space in the bottom of the keyboard if you want to put a battery in there. I just went with the wireless just because I've had so many issues with Bluetooth and gaming before when it comes to keyboards. So I just like a hardwired keyboard myself personally, but that's just personal preference. Now on a side note, they have this little screwdriver in here that you kind of twist and you can tighten really fast, and it makes the whole process just a little bit faster. So it feels weird for me to say this, but I kind of like that they put this little screwdriver in here, especially for you guys that are new to building keyboards. Speaking of noob friendly, the build process is pretty straightforward. The first thing you're going to want to do is work on those stabilizers. Now remember I said the 67 Lite does something that the other keyboards don't do. Well, one of them is that they don't have plate stabs. They actually have screw-in PCB stabs, which are just miles better than plate stabs. And on some of the other injection molded keyboards, they got plate stabs. I even did the Band-Aid mod. I cut off the legs, I lubed them. Nothing could save them. I was never 100% happy with them, but these are a different beast. These look like the Zeal PC with the gold plated wires and the clear housing. And one thing that I noticed with the stabilizers is actually popping in the wires is very, very hard. It takes a little bit of force. So that means that your wires aren't going to be popping out like some of the cheaper options on the market. You know, stabilizers can make or break your keyboard. You know, it can make if you have bad stabilizers in a premium keyboard, it's gonna sound like crap. So I really like that they just didn't skimp out and just do plate stabs. And this is one thing I just do not get about the other injection molded keyboards. Why put plate mounted stabs on the keyboard? You know, you're moving from a stock keyboard up to a custom keyboard. Even though this might be an entry board, I still think it deserves to have enthusiast grade stuff in it like these stabilizers. So I'm really, really excited what this means for you guys in terms of quality and just stepping up the game in general, just getting rid of those plate stabs. They don't need to be here anymore. Now they also give you this tape or this foam that goes in between the PCB and the stab as well when you put it in there. And as for the lubing of the stabs, I did the Krytox 205 grade 0 lube for the housing, and for the wires I just dipped it in some Dialex or grease and they were good to go. So you don't have to lube them, but I highly recommend it because lubing your stabs, like I said, it can really make or break your keyboard. So next, after you put in all your stabs, you're going to want to put everything together: the mute mount, the PC plate, and also the PCB. Now there's these little posts where you can screw everything together and kind of make it a sandwich with the mute mount in the middle, and the mute mount is going to sit between the top and the bottom case. Which brings me to the next point of why I think this keyboard is great. It's not top mounted, it's not tray mounted, but it's actually mute mounted. This is the same mount that was on the M65B, a $360 keyboard if I remember correctly, if you guys saw that keyboard, but it just creates a very thocky, good sounding keyboard. So this mute mount that sits between the top and the bottom casing, which eliminates screws, it's going to serve 2 purposes. It's going to get rid of vibrations, and it's also going to suck up a lot of the noise that could come from the case itself. And like I said, this is something that you would see in a $300 keyboard that they're giving you in a $110 keyboard. So now that we got that out of the way, this is a hot swap keyboard, and the switches that I went with were some Snow White switches. Now these are a 64-gram JWK switch, you know, the smoothest. Linear Gang, where you guys at? These are filmed and these are lubed with some GS1 lube. Now the GS1 lube from Kinetic Labs is really nice because it's a thin layer of lube, and it's great for pre-lube switches like these Snow White switches, because I just like a little bit more on my switch, and I don't want to use something like Krytox 205 grade 0, which is just too thick, and put that on top of some already pre-lube switches. It's just going to be too much. It's going to be too slow for me. So I really like to put this lube on pre-lube switches, and my switches always turn out really nicely. Next up, we have a keycap set, which probably costs more than this keyboard. It's a GMK Mito Synthwave. Now this was in the last round 2 of, was it round 2 of Mito Laser? Now this is a purple keycap set with teal, and I like the teal accents. It really matches nicely with the Tiffany blue on this case. So I think overall this build is close to 300 just because of the keycaps. You don't have to go that crazy. There's plenty of PBT keycaps that are like $50 that would match. And I'll try to link some down below so you guys can, you know, have a setup that's a little bit more budget friendly. All right, so the stage is set. Let's drop a sound test of the KBDfans67 Lite. The thok is real with this keyboard. That mute mount does wonders. The stabilizers that they provided are also really good, miles better than some plate stabs that I've been seeing on some other injection molded keyboards that just aren't up to, it's just not up to standard. Okay, it's like I can't even recommend it, because once you guys get it, you're gonna be like, BT, why'd you recommend this? This I feel more comfortable recommending because it has the enthusiast features in a budget package. Now I used to recommend the Drop Alt way back when. That was like the, you know, the first hot swap board that really put, you know, hot swapping and keyboards on the map. But I really like this one, and I think this is going to be the new recommendation for me. I think this hits everything on the head, does everything nicely. It's hot swap, has the nice stabilizers in it, which the Alt didn't, and a lot of these other injection mold keyboards just don't have. So this is an easy recommendation. Now it's not perfect, as what I noticed during the build process was that some of the plate cutouts were either too tight or too loose, and sometimes I would have to either jam in the switch, or I'd have to be very delicate with this switch just popping out. So that's something that isn't, you know, quite up to standard, but I think that's just going to happen because of the price point, and there's just less QC overall on a board like this. I don't know if Kbdfans is actually replacing them, but I would hope so if you just couldn't get your switches in there. The Snow White switches, the linear sounds really good on this. Another switch that would sound really good on this are the cream switches from Novel Keys. Now I want to mention a few other things before we get out of here. This is VIA supported, so you'll be able to map out everything via a plug and play app. Now you do have to download the JSON file and upload it to get it to work, which is, you know, one more step that I wish wasn't there, but it's easy to figure out. But, you know, I can't help but just be like, okay, if I'm coming from a completely newbie entry level custom keyboard maker perspective, I would just want to just plug in my keyboard, have the app pop up and have it work, instead of like being, what's a JSON? I need to download it and upload it. You know, it's just one more thing. But once you do get it set up, it's actually really easy. I think most people who are computer savvy will get it. Outside of mapping, you can also control the RGB on this keyboard. I like to run it plain, or I like to run it with this raindrop mode, which looks absolutely sick. It goes really well with the Tiffany blue on this case. KBDfans has created the best budget custom entry level keyboard that you can get right now. It's 65% layout, so it has, you know, it's small enough, but it also still has the arrow key, so it makes it more accessible to more people. If you're new to the scene and just don't know what to get, look no further than the KBDfans67 Lite. You'll get a thocky keyboard, PCB mounted stabs, has the hot swap so you can try a variety of switches, and it's VIA supported. Now this keyboard is so good, I think it is viable for people that have been in the space too. It doesn't just have to be, you know, just entry level, that's it. I think this could be a great tester board. I feel like this could be just a great theme board. You know, like I already put the GMK Mito on here and it looks great. It looks like this board could cost $300–400 when I put everything together. So depending, you know, it's not what you have is what you do with it. And if you can do a lot with this keyboard and make it look great. All right, so if you are in the market for a new keyboard, $110 gets you this amazing DIY kit. I'll drop the link to everything else that I used in this build. It has been your boy BT. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.